You find yourself in the quiet, a space you didn't necessarily choose but were forced to occupy. The constant ping of her texts has gone silent. The compulsive need to double-check her stories has faded, and you're genuinely trying to pour that energy back into your own life. You go through the motions, the morning coffee, the workday, the mindless scrolling at night, and for a while, you can almost convince yourself you're moving on. But then, in a moment of stillness, perhaps as you're about to fall asleep, or in the lull between tasks, the reality of the situation crashes into you with a cold, unsettling clarity. It's not just that you're being quiet, she is too. Not a single reach out, not even a casual, low-stakes hey. The silence isn't one-sided anymore. It's a mutual, echoing void. And that's when the mind, the great saboteur of peace, begins its frantic race. Is she over it? Is she hurting too? Or is this some kind of test, a game where the first one to break loses? You start to wonder if your discipline is being mistaken for indifference. If your strength is being read as a lack of care, it is crucial in this moment to radically reframe what this silence actually represents. This is not a standoff. It is not a battle of wills between two people, stubbornly ignoring each other, waiting to see who blinks first. To see it that way is to remain trapped in the old dynamic, still playing a game on her terms. Instead, you must understand that her silence is a mirror. It is reflecting back at you everything you project onto it. If you project anxiety, it will show you an anxious man. If you project neediness, it will show you a needy man. But if you project purpose, it will show you a man of substance. The one who cracks first under this pressure is not the one who loved more or cared deeper. It is simply the one who forgot who they are outside of that relationship. They are seeking validation from the mirror itself rather than from the source. Therefore, this period cannot be about waiting for the reflection to change. That is a passive, powerless state. This is your invitation to transform. This quiet moment, as uncomfortable and deafening as it may seem, is not empty space. It is fertile ground. It is the blank page before the masterpiece, the silence before the symphony. It is your opportunity to initiate your loudest shift yet, a shift not for her, but for yourself. While she is doing no contact, perhaps as a tactic or a form of self-preservation, your mission is entirely different. You are not just refraining from texting. You are actively building the version of yourself that doesn't just get a second glance, but the one who leaves a permanent impression. This is about becoming a man whose presence is felt even in his absence. A man whose value is self-evident and not contingent on anyone else's acknowledgement. The silence, then, is not a punishment. It is the workshop. The most insidious trap a man can fall into during this period is to treat no contact as a countdown. He marks the days in his mind like a prisoner scratching lines on a wall. Day 12. Day 26, day 45, he operates under the silent, desperate assumption that there is a magical, preordained moment on the calendar when the spell will break. The phone will finally buzz, and she will come back. Having finally felt the weight of his absence, this mindset is a form of self-sabotage disguised as patience. It keeps you mentally and emotionally chained to the past. Your entire present life put on hold as you wait for a future event that may never occur. You are living in a state of suspension. Your happiness and progress contingent on an external validation that is entirely outside of your control. This is not strength. It is a quiet form of desperation. It is critical to internalize a fundamental truth. No woman is genuinely attracted to the man who waits. Waiting is a passive, receptive energy. It implies that your life lacks inherent purpose and momentum of its own, that it requires her presence to resume. It broadcasts a message of neediness and stagnation, which are the antithesis of the masculine traits that foster genuine attraction. She didn't fall for you because you were good at waiting for her. She was drawn to the man who was already moving with passion and direction in his own life. That is the man you must become again, not as a performance for her, but as a reclaiming of your own identity. This is why you must shift your entire perspective. You are not on pause. You are not in a holding pattern circling the airport of your old life until you get permission to land. You have been granted a rare and valuable runway. You are in build mode. This is an active, aggressive, and purposeful state of being. Every hour you spend mentally agonizing over whether she is thinking of you, analyzing her every social media move, or rehearsing conversations that may never happen, is an hour you have actively stolen from your own potential. That is an hour you did not spend in the gym forging a stronger body. It is an hour you did not spend studying to improve your career prospects or managing your finances to build security. It is an hour you did not dedicate to a forgotten hobby or a new skill that demands your complete focus and quiets the noise in your mind. The mission is clear. The version of you that she walked away from must stay in the past. That man, with his particular habits, his specific mindset, and his available energy, is the one she chose to leave. To simply wait for her is to hope that she will suddenly develop a taste for the very thing she already rejected. That is illogical. The only path forward, whether the ultimate goal is reconciliation, with a new dynamic or a new and better life without hers to evolve so far, past that old version of yourself that he becomes a distant memory, you are not waiting for her to change her mind. You are building a new man who would naturally attract a different outcome. The focus must relentlessly shift from external waiting to internal construction. The energy once spent on her must be diverted and reinvested, with compound interest, back into yourself. This building phase is what transforms the painful silence from a sentence to be served into a foundation to be built upon. You are not waiting. You are building. And what you are building is a man who no longer recognizes the guy who had time to watch the clock in the vacuum of communication. A narrative will inevitably form in her mind. Nature abhors a vacuum, and the human psyche abhors an unresolved story. Many men make the critical mistake of believing they can control this narrative by breaking their silence to correct it, to explain themselves, or to preempt what she might be thinking. They send a meme to seem easygoing. They view her story to remind her they're watching. Or they post a vague quote about healing to signal they're hurt but mature. These are all forms of cracking. They are tiny, desperate reaches back into the past. And they broadcast one thing clearly. You are still emotionally invested in her perception of you. You are still playing on her field. By her rules, true power lies in understanding that your silence will speak for you, but only if it is backed by genuine strength and purposeful action. Silence from a place of hurt and inaction is simply sadness. It is weak and palpable. But silence from a place of growth and unwavering focus is unnerving and compelling. It becomes a language of its own. What truly captures attention and begins to dismantle her assumptions is not anything you directly send her way, but the evidence of your unpredictable composure and forward momentum. When you vanish not with a dramatic slam of the door, but with a calm and decisive turning of the page, it forces a question mark. When your life, as reflected through the slivers she might see or hear about, continues to improve and expand without skipping a beat, when it seems to flourish in her absence, it forces a much more disruptive question. Why hasn't he chased me? This question is the seed of everything. It is not about playing games. It is about you reclaiming the story by becoming the author of your own life, not a character in hers. Her ego is structured to expect a certain response: pursuit, anger, pleading, or visible anguish. Your peaceful and progressive absence violates that script entirely. It forces her to move from the secure role of the one who is missed into the uncertain role of the one who is wondering. Did he move on that quickly? Was I not worth the fight? What does he know or have that I don't see? Your silence forces her to look inward, and that is a place she likely did not expect to have to go. Your job during this phase is not to correct the story she is telling herself about the breakup or about you. Your job is to become a man who is so evidently elevated that her old assumptions and narratives simply no longer apply. Let her fill in the blanks with her own curiosity, her own doubts, her own imagination. The unknown is far more powerful than the known. A text from you gives her data to analyze and dismiss. Your silent, tangible progress gives her nothing to grasp but a mystery that she alone must unravel. This requires immense discipline. It means moving smartly and living authentically for yourself. all while understanding that the most powerful message you can send is sent without typing a single word. It is the message that you are unequivocally going to be just fine, and that reality is slowly dawning on her, not because you told her, but because you showed the world. In the immediate emotional calculus of a breakup, there exists a well-worn script, a set of expectations so ingrained they feel almost inevitable. She, like anyone else, is conditioned to anticipate a specific series of reactions. She expects the crack in the facade. She is prepared for the late-night emotion-driven texts, the angry or sorrowful social media post, the passive-aggressive jab disguised as a meme, or the pleading voicemail. This reactivity, in all its forms, is a perverse form of validation for the one who initiated the distance. It confirms her impact on you. It signals that the emotional hooks are still set deep, that the power dynamic she may have sought to establish is functioning as intended. Your visible pain, your need for a reaction from her, becomes a testament to her significance in your story. It is a script she knows how to read, and consciously or not, how to use to her advantage. What truly disrupts this entire narrative, what leaves her psychological Lenore, is not a different reaction, but the utter absence of the expected one. This is the power of emotional discipline. This is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending you don't hurt. That is a fragile state that eventually crumbles. True emotional discipline is a form of mastery. It is the hard-won ability to sit with a storm of emotion, the sadness, the longing, the injustice, the ingrained to consciously choose not to be governed by it. It is the decision that your dignity, your peace, and your long-term goals are more valuable than the temporary relief of a reactive outburst. When you achieve this, when you become unreadable and composed, you demonstrate a strength that is both rare and deeply disarming. You become an equation she doesn't know how to solve. This is the highest level of emotional poker. The fundamental rule is simple. Never reveal your hand. Your cards, your feelings, your progress, your moments of weakness, your soaring successes are for you alone. You owe her no emotional reports. You owe her no proof that you are hurting, nor do you owe her the satisfaction of seeing you thrive. Volunteering this information is the ultimate strategic error. It is laying your cards face up on the table and asking her to play your game for you. The man who maintains a calm and steady exterior while meticulously rebuilding his inner world is a man operating from a fortress of self-possession. She is left with no drama to consume, no reaction to analyze, and, most importantly, no confirmation that she holds any sway over your emotional state. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting her own uncertainty back at her. This discipline must be total. It governs not only the texts you don't send, but every potential outlet. The songs you share online, the comments you make to mutual friends, your demeanor if you happen to cross paths. It is a holistic commitment to poise. The more control you exert over your reactions, the more absolute your authority over your own reality becomes. You are actively defining what this experience means for you, independent of her actions or absence. She may be practicing no contact as well. But there is a cosmic difference between the silent struggle of someone who is white-knuckling through each day and the serene focus of a man who has simply chosen a better path for his energy. One is defined by her absence. The other is defined by his own presence. This man, the one who doesn't flinch, owns every room he walks into, even the ones he's no longer in. His composure becomes his signature, and his unwavering focus on his mission is the most powerful message he can possibly send. It communicates, without a single word, that his value is self-determined and his peace is non-negotiable. That is a language that is heard loud and clear. Even in the deepest silence, the entire journey of no contact, with all its strategies and disciplines, converges on a single, paramount objective: to become so profoundly grounded in your own being that her silence ceases to be a source of power and instead becomes a neutral fact, no more significant than the weather. Her absence only holds weight if you are still seeking the noise of her validation, the comfort of her attention, or the drama of her reaction. This seeking is what gives the silence its teeth, its ability to rattling around in your mind and disrupt your peace. The goal, therefore, is not to win her back through silence, but to reach a state of inner completeness, where the question of her return becomes irrelevant to your core happiness. You shift from needing her to choose you, to you having already chosen yourself. This state of being grounded is not a single action, but a holistic integration. It is mental. Your mind, once a storm of analyzing her every possible thought, is now disciplined and focused on your mission, able to observe a thought about her without being swept away by it. It is emotional. You have felt the deep ache of loss, but you no longer resist it or fear it. You have made peace with its presence, understanding that it is a part of the human experience, not a verdict on your worth. It is physical. Your body is a testament to your discipline, healthier and stronger. A direct reflection of the energy you have reinvested in yourself. When you are grounded on these three pillars, her absence doesn't create a void. It simply reveals the solid foundation you have built. It becomes a spaciousness, not an emptiness. This is the ultimate shift in identity. While she may be engaged in no contact as a tactic, perhaps to shift power or to elicit a reaction, you're engaged in something far more profound. You are not playing a game. You are undergoing a metamorphosis. You are shedding the identity of the man who was defined by that relationship and forging a new one who is defined by his own principles, passions, and purpose. This new man doesn't just survive silence. He thrives within it. He understands that silence is not an absence of meaning, but the container in which true meaning is built away from the noise and opinions of others. It is in this quiet crucible that clarity is found and resolve is tempered. The man who emerges from this process, who has navigated the entire ordeal without flinching, without breaking frame, and without surrendering his peace, is the man who becomes unforgettable. This is not because he played a clever game of hard to get, but because he demonstrated a quality that is exceedingly rare, unshakable self-possession. He becomes a lesson and a standard. Long after the no-contact period has ended, whether she reaches out or not, the memory of his composure will linger. It will challenge her perception of the past and force a reflection on what was truly lost. His silence was not a punishment directed at her. It was the sound of his own reconstruction. So, if she has gone silent, let her. That is not your cue to chase. It is your invitation to rise to a version of yourself you may not have known was possible. This journey was never ultimately about her. It was about you arriving at a simple, unassailable truth, that you are enough, whole and complete, with or without anyone else's presence. And that truth is the loudest statement you will ever make.